Hey, welcome everyone. Explosion pills, and what I'm going to be doing today is a little bit of a guide, how-to tips for playing Balatro. To start off with a little bit about my Balatro experience, so you're not just like, who is this guy? I played Balatro for hundreds of hours at this point. I finished Completionist ++, which for those who don't know, it means finishing gold stake with every Joker. And I finished every gold stake, all the challenges and everything like that. So I'm not claiming I'm the best Balatro player in the world, not even close. You know, you can check out lots of people on YouTube and Twitch, and people like Balatro University have a lot of really great stuff, and people that I like to watch like Raphaelite, has a lot of really great runs. So I'm not trying to compare myself to the best of the best, but I think I have a little bit to say when it comes to playing Balatro. So, this is going to be for people who've played a little bit, who understand the basics and the rules. You've gone through the game and everything, and maybe you even won a run or two, but maybe you either feel like there's something that's kind of holding you back, or you haven't quite finished or won your first run yet, and maybe you're even struggling a little bit, or maybe you're not, but you're just looking to level up your game a little bit and dig a little bit deeper in Balatro. And there's a lot to this game. It's extremely deep. There are a lot of things that I found out on my own. And I will say, not to discourage you from watching, but there are a lot of cool synergies and just features of the game and stuff that it's fun to discover just kind of as you're going along. So you don't have to watch a guide. You can just figure that stuff out. But really, if you're getting frustrated or stuck, it can help to see someone else do it a little bit. And there is a lot that I've learned from watching other people play and stuff like that too. So, so want to jump into it. So I think the best way to go about this is for me to just go through a run, and I'll just start with a standard deck, or the starting deck, the red deck, which you start with an extra discard. Otherwise, it's the default. And I think it's interesting because blue deck you start with an extra hand played, so they're similar in a way. Blue deck arguably is even a little bit easier, but I think maybe with the extra discard it's kind of encouraging players to build to a hand and find their hand. And I don't know exactly what the Local Thunk, the creator of the game, what his motivations were for making red deck the first deck that you play, but I think it makes sense, so we'll get started with that. Alright, so first of all, I just want to say about Balatro, it's a roguelike, or a roguelite if you want to call it. It's a deck builder. If you played games like that before, you'll probably understand the idea. If you don't know what that is, or you've never played a game like that before, that's totally fine. You don't have to have any prior knowledge coming into Balatro in order to play it. It doesn't really have that much to do with poker, even though there's a poker theme, and you play poker hands. If you know the poker hands, and relatively speaking, where they rank compared to one another, it'll help you a little bit. But you don't need to know them, and you'll learn them very quickly, and they're intuitive as well. So you don't need any prior knowledge coming in. And the main point of the game is it's a video game. It's a game. You play it to have fun. Play it the way that you like it. Do what you want to do. Play with the jokers that you like, and the hands that you like, and the cards that you like. That's the whole point. One of my favorite quotes that I quote all the time, Reggie Fils-Aimé, the former president of Nintendo America, said, "If it's not fun, why bother?" So just keep that in mind when you're playing the game. And I know a lot of, let's say, the more hardcore gamers, including myself, we go at a game with a specific goal in mind, and we can get angry or tilted when things don't go our way. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take the game seriously on some level, but really ultimately it's about playing the game the way that you want. So if I give advice, or I tell you to do something that you don't like, or you don't want to do, or you want to try it differently, then do what you want to do. I'm just telling you the way that I like to play, or the way that I think is the more accurate way to play, let's say. And I may be wrong. So that's kind of up to you, how much you want to listen to me or not. So one note, when we go through, I'll be talking about what I call my rules, essentially. I have a rule like always open buffoon packs. Another one that's germane to this screen is never skip. When I say always and never, it doesn't really mean always and never. It means that all things being equal, you should do that thing. So unless you have a specific reason not to, you should always do it. Or if you have a specific reason to do something, if you don't have that specific reason, then you should never do it. That's kind of the caveat to that. So you gotta think of things in the context of your run, and when you're playing, don't just follow rules blindly. It's like, there are a lot of games like this. I think at chess, there are chess rules like that you say always and never, never play f3 or never play f6 if you're white or black respectively is one of Ben Feingold's rules, for example. And there are circumstances where you can and should and would play that, but all things being equal, you follow the rule. So I think that's a good time to talk about the always and never caveat, because one of my rules here is never skip. So I think newer players that I've watched, and they teach you about skipping in the tutorial, and it seems like something that you should do, and people don't really know, which skip tags are good, which skip tags are bad, when to take which skip tag. And I would say if you're a newer player and you're kind of struggling, or you can't win, or your win rate's not as high as you would like, I would say try not skipping. Just never skip. I'm not saying ultimately when you get better or to just blindly follow that rule of never skip, but I would say try a few runs where you just don't skip at all, not even in Ante 1. The investment tag, the one that gives you $25 when you beat the boss, a lot of people say that's worthwhile taking in Ante 1. And I don't necessarily disagree. I think that is a valid strategy, and it's something that I do as well. But even that, I would say, if you're first starting out, just see every shot that you can. And that's kind of the important thing. See every shot, play out every round, get all the rewards from that round. So all I'm saying is that if you feel like you are struggling and you tend to skip, just try doing some runs without skipping at all. So I just want to talk a little bit about the UI as well. I think you're probably kind of familiar with it if you're the kind of Balatro player I'm talking to. Choose your next blind, your round score, your chips, and your mult. The goals of the game in terms of scoring is to more or less balance chips and mult, at least in the early game. You can grow your mult exponentially. You can't grow your chips exponentially, so ultimately you end up focusing on mult if you're going into endless, but that's more advanced and not about winning Ante 8 runs necessarily. So you kind of want these to balance out in order to maximize your score. You got your hands, your discards. Run and foe, very important. You can see the levels of your hands, the number of times you've played each hand, and then the base chips and mult for each of the different kinds of hands. You can see the blinds. This is the same as the screen behind it, but you can see this in the shop. So a couple of important things you'll be able to see is the score that you're going to have to meet, and then also the upcoming boss. So it gives you some time to prepare. And then finally, any vouchers that you purchase. So this is your default hands, your default discards. You get an extra one with red deck. Usually it's 3 or 2 if you're playing on blue stake or higher. Your cash, very important, of course. And then this is just kind of your progress. And then options are options. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into the small blind for Ante 1. So, a lot of people will say your goal in small blind Ante 1 is to win in one hand, and that's not bad because really it gives you an extra $1. If you have to win in 2 hands or especially 3 hands, you're missing out on a little bit of money. And Balatro is a lot about incremental advantage, so even it doesn't seem like a big difference having $1 less. But for example, if there is a $6 joker in the shop and you can't afford it, that's a good joker and you can't afford it because you didn't win in one hand, you could be missing out. So the ways to win in one, the simplest ways to win in one are straights, flushes, and full houses because they're the most common draws, particularly flush. And you can see the base chips and mult here. So you need 300 chips to win. So for straight, what that means is that your cards have to add up to at least 45 chips. And the shorthand way of saying that is queen high straight. So queen high straight or better will win in one. For flush, you need 40 chips total for all your cards. You can do the math if you want. I usually don't really bother. I just kind of feel it out. Like if I have something that you see here, like Ace King 10 5 4, I'm like, yeah, that'll probably win in one, and I believe that's exactly 40 chips. We can do the math as 20, 30, 40 with the King and the 10. Yeah. So it's up to you if you want to count it out or not. Full house is harder to get, but also a little bit less strict. You know, you can win with aces full of twos, or twos full of aces will win, rather. Aces full of twos wouldn't win, actually. And then, obviously, if you're lucky enough to draw 4 of a kind or a straight flush, then you'll win in 1 easily. So, I think, unless you have an outside straight probably with 4 cards. I have an inside straight with the 7. So I have a 4 in 44 chance to draw an 8 after 4 discards, which is a lot. But that wouldn't be a queen high straight, so that wouldn't be enough to win. So on the other hand, we go for flush. We already have a jack and a 9, which is pretty good. The 4 is not great for trying to win in 1 with flush. But you got to keep in mind also the deck that you're playing and the context that you're in. We're in white stakes, so we get 4 discards. So we have plenty of opportunities to draw more diamonds and higher scoring diamonds as well. And then, you know, we're not really close to a full house. We have a pair of 7s, but full house is harder to get anyway. So I think we go for the flush here. Okay, we didn't get much help there. But we'll keep the other diamonds. Sometimes I'll drop the low card if it's not going to help, just to look for more. I honestly don't know all of the probabilities if it's good to do that or not. Okay, that's kind of funny. Okay, so we didn't get our diamond flush, or a high scoring enough diamond flush that we wanted. So that's okay, that happens. So we're just going to play out these other cards just to look for our other diamonds. We'll go ahead and play the flush now. And with the 30 chips we got from the high cards, this might win. Yeah, it does. Okay. So yeah, didn't exactly go the way that I wanted, and that's the one thing you can't control what your deck is going to do. You have to make choices, maybe discarding the flush and not just playing it out. Maybe that was the wrong choice. And again, you can go calculate all the probabilities if you want. If that's how you like to play, do that, and then pick the one that's the best chance. But your chance, maybe it's 51% and it's better, but that's not a guarantee. So these things happen. I missed out on potentially $2 here for not having enough remaining hands. And yeah, I think that's an important thing, is dealing with tilt. And I don't feel tilted right now. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but you can get tilted when you feel like the game is being unfair. And I could say all the things I can about that, like the game doesn't care, the game doesn't know, it's an inanimate object, it doesn't matter if you're mad at it or not. You're still going to feel that way, and you can't really control that. So it's more a question of how you want to deal with it. I would say if you're tilting, stop playing because you're not going to win. If you weren't winning and you're tilted, you're not going to win anyway, you know, for the most part, unless you get really lucky or something like that, and you can't count on that. And then if you get more bad luck, you're just going to feel even worse. So lots of different ways to deal with tilt. I feel like if you're being tilted, you're frustrated at the game, you're continuing to play poorly, the best thing you can do is to just stop at that point. But, you know, that's a personal thing, it's up to you. So yeah, since we're in white stake, we get $3 for beating small blind. In red stake, which is the next difficulty level or higher, you don't get any reward money for small blind. And then we get the $1 for an extra hand. If we had 1 and 1 with the flush, we would have gotten $3. And then there's more. And then we'll talk more about this after round screen when there's more to talk about. Okay, so one of my rules is always open buffoon packs. And there is a caveat to that, which is, of course, you have to look at the whole shop. So something that players tend to do, players at all levels, including myself, we may see something that we like and then rush into buying it. Like you saw a baseball card, which is a really strong joker. Seeing it right away is like, oh, I'm just going to buy this before I look at everything else. And there might be something better that you miss out on because you were tantalized by something that's really good and that you really like. And a lot of times that might not matter, but you know, if you want to tighten up your game and play better, it's good to get all of the information first before you make any decisions. And yeah, I have a shop tutorial also on this channel, which you can check out if you're so inclined. But I also said in there that you're playing Balatro to play the game, not to look at shops. So, you know, if you don't want to spend a lot of time analyzing the shop and planning out your decisions in the shop, and you just want to do it more intuitively so you can get back to the game, that makes total sense to me. So, you know, it's tough here because Rudder is a good joker, good to start with. And the baseball card is very strong, but it's not likely to help much right now. You want to get baseball card more in the middle game. You want to get it when you already have some uncommon jokers. You know, this is going to do absolutely nothing for us for now and probably for a while, and we have to go all the way down to $0 in order to get it. So it's an interesting investment, and you could take it here if you wanted to. It's fun. You know, I would like to try that, but in the interest of trying to play a little bit more optimally, I'm not going to take it here. You always want to check out the voucher. My opinion, I don't think Hone is a very good voucher. I generally wouldn't buy it unless I had like a lot of extra money. Then maybe I might think about getting it. I see a lot of people snap Hone up, and I just don't think it's a good effect, or it's a decent effect, but is it really worth $10? I don't really think so. So I would avoid it. And generally in Ante 1, I would say you just don't have time to buy the voucher. Unless you get really lucky, it's possible to get a lot of money from some things in Ante 1. Then maybe you could think about getting the voucher. Or if it's the discount, which is going to discount all of your shops for the future, then it may be worth it. But you want to keep your money up, and really your goal in Ante 1, or you know, by the end of Ante 2, let's say, is to get your money up to $25. That's the interest cap. Now, like I said, with always and everything, it doesn't always apply. In this specific case, when you're playing green deck, you don't get interest, so that's not a consideration. But for any of the other decks, you want to try to get to $25 more or less as soon as you can. You know, you got to take good jokers, and you have to buy things, but trying to get to the interest cap, because that's an extra $5 around. That's an extra $15 an ante. That's, you know, 2 packs, 2 or 3 jokers. That's lots of purchases that you can make just off of passive income, doing nothing else at all. So it's really powerful, and I think that interest is maybe either misunderstood, or especially by newer players, don't value interest as much as they should, and they tend to spend down. And sometimes they'll spend down on things that aren't very good, like the standard pack. You don't want to take standard packs early. You don't need to, and it's $6. That's a lot, and it's unlikely that you're going to get something very valuable. And even if you do, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to use it very much. So I would say don't consider the standard packs, at least until you're at the interest cap, or if you have a specific reason to get it. Like if you have the hologram joker, for example, which likes you adding cards to your deck, then it may be worth taking something from a standard pack in order to power that up. So I'm going to open the buffoon pack here. What I would really like, I think one of the best things to get early is an econ joker, which unfortunately we didn't. Card Sharp is very good, and Raised Fist is also good for the early game, so this would be good to take now. I think Card Sharp is more valuable because it'll last for longer. It's not like for Raised Fist, for example, we could play a lower scoring hand like a pair or something like that and still be able to win the round. With Card Sharp, it's a little bit more complicated, but it'll last longer, it'll be more powerful in the long run. So you can make an argument for both, I think, and in this case it's kind of up to you. I don't think there's really a wrong decision here, but I'm going to take the Card Sharp. Chatter says Raised Fist is bait. I think it's I don't think it's bait. I think it's an early game joker. Like once you get to, I don't know, let's say ante 4, you probably want to sell Raised Fist at that point, but it can get you through the first 3 rounds. You don't like Card Sharp either. Oh my. I mean, I could sell it and take runner or something like that, but I don't want to go down so much on money. The problem with Card Sharp specifically is that it has a couple of bosses that counter it. The needle and, is it the mouth? You can't play repeat hand types. It's either the mouth or the eye. I don't quite remember. Yeah, and the issue, it requires playing 2+ hands for blind. I mean, that's okay. There's a lot of strategies that do that. I see what you're saying, though. It is nice to win in 1, but not every build is going to be winning in 1. But we can always sell Card Sharp, but, you know, runner would be a good pickup here. Baseball card would be interesting. It'd be nice to get baseball card with Card Sharp, because it isn't uncommon. But yeah, so yeah, I'm spending a lot of time talking about the jokers. I'm not going to talk about every single joker, but any of the jokers that I see, I'll spend some time talking about them. But anyway, let's move on. We didn't get a Celestial pack for planets, or an Arcana pack for tarot cards, or a Spectral pack. If we see those, I'll talk about them when they come up. Okay, So let's go next. So I think we more or less ignore card sharp here and then just try to play the spade flush, which we didn't draw. I'm going to go ahead and play this pair kind of as a discard, because we're going to need to play another hand anyway. The flush is not going to be enough to win. We have a straight. We'll play that instead. And then we drew a flush. That's nice. If we had played a pair with the X3, that might have won also because of card sharp. Okay. So Supernova seems to be kind of a favorite among newer players, I think, including myself. I mean, when I was newer, I really liked Supernova. I don't think Supernova is great. I don't want to say. I want to say that all of the jokers are playable, and again, you should play with the jokers that you like or the jokers that you think could be good. Yeah, but Supernova, I think the issue is, yeah, if you are playing one particular hand, and like especially with high card that you can play 100% of the time, every time, and you get the hands played way up there, yeah, it can get pretty high in terms of the molt that it gives. But in other cases, you know, if you have played like 20 flushes or something like that, and you get 20 molt from a flush, that's not bad. But you can't play a flush every single hand unless your deck has been fixed to do that, which may be a long way off. And then in that case, Supernova is good, but there are other jokers that are even better when you're playing under those circumstances anyway. So it's not to say that Supernova is not playable, but I don't think it's worth taking. And then Gluttonous Joker would be fine, but I'd rather save the money. Like I said, we're trying to race to get to $25, and with card sharp we're okay. And I don't think we'll struggle to win the next round. And then in the interest of saving money, we're not going to open the packs. I think you should wait again. You really want to try to get to the interest cap of $25 before you start doing anything else, unless you have a specific reason to do so. Chief among them, you're going to lose the next round unless you take something. Alright, so the Psychic, we have to play 5 cards. That's not a problem. Keep in mind, and this is something that I haven't talked about yet, you can play up to 5 cards regardless of the hand that you're trying to play. So for example, if I play this pair, because of the boss, it won't score. It'll just poof. But if I play, well, that's a 2 pair anyway, but if I do this, I can play all 5 of these cards. It still counts as a pair. It's essentially, you're discarding these cards. So if you weren't aware, it's something that you can do, but you don't have to do, especially against the Psychic, or if you just want to dump cards while you're playing a hand that has fewer than 5 cards, you can do that. By the way, right-clicking deselects all cards. I think we want to go for a club flush. Our deck has not been fixed at all yet. Okay. We almost have a straight flush. But I don't think that it's not going to be reliable enough to get that. Straight flush would win in one. Okay. I think we can go for heart flush. Which we got, and it'll win thanks to card sharp, regardless. Okay. Looking pretty good. Misprint. It's not bad. I think we can still beat the small blind, and because it's white stake, we get reward money, so it's a little bit cheating. We'll go down a $1 of interest if I take misprint here, and I just don't think we need it. Seed money, this voucher, you want to get much later because you need to have $50 in order to get the second interest cap. You know, $30 if you have seed money, you get an extra $1 because of that. So it's really something you want more for later and later in the game. So getting it this early, you know, it's not great. I don't know if it's a worthy investment really, and I definitely wouldn't take it here. I don't want to go that low on interest. And then the packs I'm not looking for anything specific yet, so I don't think it's worth looking at them yet. And they do cost a lot of money, so I think we'll just move on. And I think we can beat this. Now, up against the big blind, that might be troubling, so let's see what we get in the next shot. We'll go for club flush. close to diamond flush. I'm going to take advantage of the extra discards. I think, so there we get $3 of interest, thanks to that. So now we're actually at the interest cap, which is very nice. So there is a lot of discussion, I think, and a lot of questions about what build should I, or what hand should I play? Like, is this a flush build? Is it a high card build or whatever? I would say, you know, you do, depending on what you get in the shops, you're going to want to pick a lane at some point. You don't have to pick too early, but you do need to choose relatively early what hand you want to play and what hand you want to focus on and build towards that. Now, you can definitely pivot, and you should pivot given the opportunity, and you can pivot into all kinds of things. And there are some builds that are not so hand dependent, where you can play a lot of different hands, or maybe you're focused on like 2 particular hands that you're playing, like you started off really strong with 3 of a kind, but then you're able to get a lot of full houses or something like that. You know, natural pivots like full house pivoting into flush house, which is one of the secret hands that maybe we'll see, who knows. But I would say that a mistake that some people make, including myself, is not really picking a lane early enough or a hand early enough and trying to, you know, waffling too much, and then you're just not able to win because your hand is not powerful enough. So we've been playing a lot of flushes. I think flush is a good balance, and a lot of people agree. It's a good balance of power and ease of finding early. It doesn't scale that well, but it's still a viable run or a viable hand, and a lot of newer players like flush because it is easy to find. And I think a lot of people in their Balatro experience, from what I've seen, they go through a period of not liking flush or thinking flush is bad, and then when you get maybe to a more advanced level, you think flush is good again. And yeah, I think that's true, but I don't think any hand is necessarily better than any other. It really just is a question of what you're given in the run, and right now flush is just working for me, and it works well with card sharp. So yeah, 1200 chips. I think we can do it with the card sharp because we almost got 1200 with the 2 flushes. So we'll have to play another hand, and it is risky. So, but then we'll be really set on money, and there's nothing here that I really want. I mean, Wrathful Joker, you know, we're not guaranteed to draw a spade flush, so it might not even help. But on the other hand, I don't want to lose. So I don't want to lose this instructional run, so maybe we'll take it here. It's kind of up to you how many risks you want to take. We drew a flush right out the gate. That's nice, especially since we only drew 1 spade. So we'll go for spade flush, which will definitely win. We also have 3 8s. I don't think that'll do much though. I think we just go for the spade flush. We'll keep the 8 though, just in case. Okay. Right, so now we'll get $4 of interest. So we're pretty well above the interest cap. So Blue Joker is worth taking here. That's a really good source of chips. You know, it says it's 104. Really, you're gonna draw 8 cards, so it's minus 16. So it's kind of 88 chips right out the gate, which is a lot. So if you need more chips, which we definitely do, Blue Joker is a good pickup here. And then throwback, you know, I think throwback is very situational. If you want to skip, or if you're doing a stipulation run with skips, or if you're trying to unlock the Joker where you have to win in 12 or 18 fewer or 12 or fewer rounds, then you could take throwback maybe. But beyond specific scenarios, like I said, I would avoid skipping, and especially if you're newer, I wouldn't skip at all, or I'd suggest trying not to skip at all. So throwback is not what we're going to take here. So I think Blue Joker would be a good pickup. I like to open the Buffoon pack. We could still take Blue Joker. That would put us below the interest cap if we did that. Alright, so Luchador. Disable the current boss blind. Interesting. That actually helps here, kind of. And then Lusty Joker, you know, it's kind of the same thing as Wrathful Joker. So, what the heck. I'll take the Luchador here. And then I will take Blue Joker. I'm a little bit concerned about that. So we went below the interest cap there, but that's okay. I think it was a worthy investment. So we essentially lose out on $1 here, but that's fine. So we get a tiny rebate to enable our spades again. Going for spade flush here. Wow. I think we'll do this. We do have another discard. I guess we'll take it. Okay. I want to do the high chip cards first. And then Blue Joker, unfortunately, is down on chips because of all the discards we did, but that was enough to win. So that's the power. That was all Blue Joker. I mean, it was Wrathful Joker as well. It was both of them together. So that's the power of having a decent amount of chips plus a decent amount of mults together. That was enough to win. We didn't even need card sharp at all. We wanted one hand, which is great. So now we got a good amount of money. So we can start thinking about other things here, which we didn't get a Joker in the shop, but that's okay. We know we can beat the small blind with a spade flush pretty much, if we can draw it. Hangman. Yeah, I think Hangman is good. We can cut some non-spades, focus on spades. And this is kind of a mid-game thing to do. I don't think necessarily one or both of these are going to last us into the late game. Because if we're playing a spade flush, this is plus 15 molt, which, you know, that's not enough to sustain us really, but it could get us at least through ante 3. And then cutting spades out of our deck, maybe we could pivot into flush house or something in the future. It's always good to cut cards from your deck in general. So we'll buy the Hangman and then check out the Arcana packs. I like the Mega. That'll put us below the interest cap. But there's also a possibility of finding Hermit or Temperance to make more money. So maybe we're checking out. We did find a Temperance, so that's cool. And a World for spades. So the question is, what do we want to cut? I usually like to cut low cards, all the other things being equal. So we'll cut these 2 2s. And then, well, Temperance, it's only $7, but it puts us back above the interest cap, which is very nice. Since we're playing flushes, strength doesn't really do much. We could speculate on it, but, you know, we could take a random Joker. That wouldn't be bad, but I do like the idea here of getting more spades. And we already, one thing to keep in mind is kind of meta strategy as well, is that we already beat the boss that debuffs all spades. And I didn't talk about it in the boss, but I probably should have. But when the spades are debuffed, Wrathful Joker won't trigger. Debuff cards, it's like they have no suit, they have no whatever enchantments might be on them. So Wrathful Joker wouldn't have given us anything. And we were depending on Wrathful Joker to win, as you could see. So we passed that boss, we're not going to see it again, so we know that we don't have to worry about that. So adding more spades to the deck is totally a fine thing to do now. Another thing I didn't mention about going in here, so when you open the Arcana packs and Spectral packs, those two in particular, when I first did it, I didn't know what I was doing, you know, I was just figuring out the game on my own, which is fun, so don't want to spoil it for anyone who may not quite understand this yet. But for those 2 packs in particular, you draw a hand, and then some of the cards, you have to use these cards right away. You can use them on the hand, but not all of them do something with the hand and not all of them have to. Like the Temperance, for example, you can use, or the Judgment you can use, has nothing to do with drawing the hand. But then the World, for example, that converts the spades, in this case it does. And then you saw we brought the Hangman, bought it, put it in our consumable slot, and then brought it into the Arcana pack. We could use it there. We didn't have to use the Hangman. We could save it for some other time, including during one of the rounds. We could have used it then and held on to it. But these ones you have to use right now. And you can use them on your hands, and not all of them do things with hands, as you can see. But that's the point of drawing with the Arcana and Spectral packs. So we'll do that. I like to do the high cards just because they're worth the most chips. And thanks to the Temperance for back above the interest cap, I think we check out the other Arcana pack. Could also get Telescope. It is a very nice voucher. But where are we? We haven't finished small blind yet. Yeah, so we have time. We don't have to get telescope right now. So let's open the other Arcana pack. We got Death. Also Magician. You know, Sun. We're trying to get spades, not hearts. So I think we convert another 2 into a spade. We could also Magician a couple of things, or Magician the Jack. If I got 2 spades, I would consider it. I don't think lucky cards are that great anyway. They're a lot of fun, and I use them a lot, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're very tempting, and they can be pretty powerful, but I don't think a strategy that relies a lot on lucky cards is very good. They're more of an out than anything else. So we'll add another spade to our deck here. And then, so we're above the interest cap, so that's great, so we'll move on. We have more spades, so we're more likely to draw more spade flushes. So I think we'll continue to get frustrated and not draw them. We played these 3 8s. We drew a spade flush, that's good. So we're in good shape. Picking up the Wrathful Joker was a good choice, I think, ultimately. It really essentially cost us $1. So Madness, you know, that eats other jokers. So there are specific strategies, especially once you get to Black Stake, where you can have eternal jokers that can't be destroyed. Madness is an interesting strategy, but we're not going to take it for now. You could also, I mean, there are certain runs where you can get Madness and let it build up, and you keep buying other jokers to kind of feed it, but I don't think we're going to go that way. We already have Card Sharp that's providing X3 Molt, and Madness would take a long time to catch up, but it is funny and fun, but I'd say that's a bit more of an advanced strategy than what we want to do right now. But if you wanted to try it, it would be a lot of fun for sure. And then Mad Joker, we're not playing 2 pairs, so it's not really in the conversation. So another thing I haven't mentioned yet is rerolls. I would say you want to avoid rerolling until you either have a lot of money, or you're looking for something specific, or you're going to lose the next round. I mean, if you're going to lose the next round, you got to reroll. But they are expensive, and you essentially get there's no guarantee that you get anything out of them. So I would say avoid re-rolling until you have a lot of money. Like maybe once you get to the 40s or $50 or more, then you can consider re-rolling 1 or 2 times just to look for some more things or better tools. But beyond that, yeah, re-roll kind of as the last resort. Like if you're going to lose the next round and you're like, well, Explosion Pill said not to re-roll. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like if you're going to lose, re-roll. Try to find something. Try to find an out. But other than that, don't re-roll just for the heck of it. You want to wait on that. But we have more Arcana packs we can look at. Another Temperance. I mean, it's only $7, which isn't great. Death, essentially all that's going to do is get us another spade. But we also have this Empress here, which I kind of like, or we can make more spades and then Fool for more spades. There are a lot of options here. So especially considering what I said about the spade boss already being finished, I think we're going to maximize spades here and go that route. We could have also used, for example, Fool, and then we would get a Death in our consumable slot that we could use later, and then maybe use Empress for, that's +4 Molt on the card. Could have used it on the Jack or something like that, but there was only 1 spade there we could have used it on anyway. And then later on we could have used Death during one of the rounds to make a non-spade into that molted Jack of Spades, for example. We could have done that. Taking more money is never bad. You know, Temperance it's only $7 right now, so that's not a lot, and we don't really need it. It's not sucking me in, so I think we're just gonna use Fool for another world to get even more spades, and then move on. So we'll open the other Arcana pack. And then notice that we can use this here, and we will, to get even more spades. And then it's kind of a question of, you know, strength is probably our best option here. So we could work towards Flush House, which is a full house, all of the same suit. So, you know, 3 Queens of Spades and 2 Jacks of Spades, for example, that would be a Flush House. And it has very strong base Molt and base chips. and then it grows very fast. One of the fastest growing hands as well with the planet, the secret planet. So that's something we could look at. So we'll take a look at our deck. One important thing to do, I think more experienced players do this more, less experienced players do it less, is look at your deck. Peek your deck or look at your full deck to see what you have and see what your options are. And remember, you can do that all the time. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. Maybe you noticed while I was playing, I was peeking my deck a lot just to see what our chances were that we were going to draw a particular card or not. And again, you don't have to calculate the probabilities. I don't really understand them that well. I've never been that good with statistics or probability or anything like that. But more to just get a feel or even just kind of check in general. Is this even possible? It's nice to know. So we do have some flush houses in the deck, quite a few actually. And the reason it's a secret hand, your deck starts with no flush houses. And there's also the flush 5, which is 5 of the same suit and rank. And then 5 of a kind, which is 5 of the same rank, but different suits. So your deck doesn't start with any of those, but of course when you add more spades, now we have a flush house. For example, this is a flush house right here. King's full of aces, flush house. So we could draw that, but the chances of drawing that are pretty low. But we have some others as well. So the question is strength going to help us get closer to any of those? Because we already have extra aces, we have extra queens and jacks, we have fewer tens. But the thing is, we can't use sun and star for anything. So, that doesn't help. So, I mean, sometimes you get an Arcana pack that doesn't help a whole lot. I think maybe we'll do a 9 into a 10 and an ace into a 2. Or you always have the option to skip too. Like maybe we could have just skipped there. I don't think that helps us very much, but it also doesn't hurt us very much. But sometimes you're just gonna skip. But we've only seen Arcana packs so far, so I haven't been able to talk much about Buffoon packs or Celestial packs. I talked about Buffoon packs at the beginning. But yeah, we'll move on. With even more spades, if we can play 2 spade flushes, we're pretty much guaranteed to win. I'm not going to hunt for the flush house right now. I think our chances to draw it are still relatively low. Alright, Judgment. We might as well take it. Gift card is nice. Ultimately, that could be worth a lot of money. We have to buy a telescope now. That'll put us below the interest cap. But I think it's worth it. We haven't seen any Celestial packs though, and Telescope works with Celestial packs only. But we could see, like, just because you haven't seen something doesn't mean that you won't see it. Doesn't mean that you will see it. It's random, of course. So we could see all Celestial packs for the rest of the run. We might not see a single Celestial pack. That's unlikely. It's probably going to balance out ultimately, and over the course of your Balatro lifetime, it'll balance out. But I think it's worth taking the Telescope here. So we might as well open the standard pack because we're not going to lose any interest. It'll take us down exactly to the next interest cap. And what we're really looking for in packs are seals. So a blue seal would be really nice. I mean, any of the seals. The seals are all good. Unfortunately, we didn't get any seals. A holographic card, plus 10 volt when you play it is nice, but it's a diamond. If it were a spade, I would take it for sure. But in this case, it's not going to help. So unfortunately, this is another skip. And this is why you don't really want to open standard packs unless you have a lot of money. Then it's good to open them because you can get seals, which can be very powerful and really advance your run. Or if you have a specific reason why you want to add cards to the deck, they can be good to open. But if you're not well above the interest cap, kind of the same with re-rolling. I wouldn't bother with standard packs, but you can get a lot of powerful tools out of them. It's just sometimes that happens where you get basically no usable cards at all. It happens pretty frequently, so you want to have disposable income, let's say, before you look for standard packs. All right, the Needle is a tough boss. We have 4 discards and a lot of spades, so I'm not concerned. And we just got 3,000 in one hand, so getting 2,000s should be no problem. And yeah, Card Sharp doesn't work with the Needle, which is unfortunate. But once again, we finished this boss, so we don't have to worry about Card Sharp being disabled for a future boss either. Okay. All good options here. I do like Hiker. We're playing a 5-card hand. We finally got a Celestial pack. We're guaranteed to get a Jupiter, which is kind of what we want. So I think we'll take that. And then we'll stay above the interest cap. We may have to play 2 flushes to win here, since we're up to 5,000. But we have level 2 flush as well with the Jupiter. And it doesn't have to be another spade flush, but I think that's what we want to go for here. And a lot of that is because we kept getting those world cards, you know, with the Fool and the Death and everything. We were able to get a lot of spades overall. So we're very high to draw 2 spade flushes. You know, I don't know mathematically if it's guaranteed, but it seems like it almost is, especially with all the discards. We didn't have to go that way. There were other potential options that we could have taken. But yeah, that's the one that ended up working out for us. Okay, another Celestial Pack is good. Take our Jupiter. And then I think Erosion is good here. Ultimately, we do want to cut more cards. It's only giving 8 plus 8 molt for now, which is okay. And then the Director's Cut. Yeah, this is the other boss that counters Card Sharp with the no repeat hand types. So we do have Director's Cut to re-roll it. It's going to cost us $20 to do that, which is a lot. But I think we might not have a choice depending on what we see. But we'll take Erosion here. And then your Joker order is important. I tend to, and a lot of players tend to put chip Jokers on the left. That actually doesn't matter. Chips are added at the end anyway, before they're multiplied. So chip Blue Joker could be over here. It wouldn't make any difference. Erosion is plus molt. So you want it to the left of the times molt. So if Card Sharp triggers, we effectively get another 24 molt from Erosion. And then, you know, utility Jokers like this is kind of up to you where you want to put them. Where gift card is doesn't actually matter right now. And then Wrathful Joker is interesting. If you're not familiar with the scoring order of operations, as you might call it, some Jokers trigger when cards are played. Some Jokers trigger by cards held in hand. And then some Jokers trigger, it just kind of goes through the Jokers in order and then they trigger. So the order is played cards, held in hand, which we don't have any of those effects unfortunately, and then the Joker order. So that means Wrathful Joker actually triggers first. So even if we did this, the plus molt from Wrathful Joker will trigger first. And we could even do this, and it wouldn't matter. It would still get multiplied by Card Sharp, because with hands played, it's triggered first. As you can see. And then we get the plus molt from Erosion. Which always reminds me of SpongeBob. Explosions, I mean Erosion. So just as an example, you can see Wrathful Joker is to the right of Card Sharp, but it's still going to get multiplied because it triggers first because it's when played. The Jokers themselves trigger after. And then same with Blue Joker on the right. It triggers after, but the chips are added separately. All that being said, you know, I think it's good to, just so you avoid mistakes, you try to keep your Jokers in a particular order. And it's kind of up to you, what you're comfortable with, what you like to do, you know, but just to avoid making any kind of mistakes and making sure that things are multiplied properly in the right order, you might want to do that. All right. So we're going to level up flush here. And level up flush again. So I don't want to have to spend all that money, because we would go down to $9 to buy Director's Cut and then use it. But we only have level 5 flush available. And, you know, even with that, I don't know that it's going to hit 10,000 chips with everything that we have. And then we can't play another flush at all. So it would be very risky to try to see if we could do it. And I just don't think it's worth the risk. Like, yeah, it stinks to lose all this money. But I don't think we really have a choice. And we have gift card to maybe potentially kind of offset some of that. Eventually we're going to sell gift card or the other Jokers for a lot of money. But losing is not worth it. As you can see, that wouldn't have won. And then I don't know if we would have really had any outs maybe a 2 pair of spades or something like that. So yeah, we encountered both bosses that card sharp gets countered by. We had our spades debuffed. Sometimes you go through runs where the bosses are just no problem at all. Sometimes you go through runs where the bosses just, you know, wreck your build, and that is an issue with card sharp in particular for sure. So hallucination I love. You get an average of, if you can open both packs, you get an average of 1 tarot card per round with hallucination, which is really strong. There's other jokers that essentially do the same thing, and they're very powerful. So I'd like to take hallucination here, but you know, I want to keep growing the gift card. We don't really have room. Side joker, it's a $3 joker, so you can tell it's not that great. 50 chips per pair. This is a really, really early game joker for kind of specific builds. So you can kind of overlook these ones unless you're in the really early game and you're doing something specific. I would love extra hand size, but we kind of need to get our money back up. So I think we just move on. All right, the mouth is the opposite play, only 1 hand type. We don't have to worry about that. The nice thing about getting director's cut is if we happen to encounter another boss that's going to give us trouble, which I don't know exactly what it would be, but it could happen. We can always re-roll it again now, so it's not terrible that we had to take it there. We did lose out on a lot of interest, which is a shame, but it's better than losing. So I think it was the right choice ultimately, and we're getting our econ back up there. Always open buffoon packs. So this is an example. We're going to lose $1 of interest. So I said to myself, do I just want to keep the $25, say it nice even interest? I know we can win. Let's move on. But remember the rule, always open buffoon packs. So I'm going to take it here. And we get rewarded really well. Blueprint, one of the best jokers in the game. You know, even arguably the best. We copy all kinds of things here. I think maybe we get our rebate from gift card actually, so we don't even go below the interest cap. Would be nice to grow gift card even more. But yeah, we don't need to do that. So I think capping Wrathful Joker is the best here. Oops. We drew our flush out of the gate, that's nice. And I could have a whole video on Blueprint. It has all kinds of synergies. You can do all kinds of things with it. I mean, it gets a little, you have to move Blueprint around. You probably should be copying card sharp. Not that it matters, it's going to win regardless. But that would be X9 Molt. I mean, we can probably win with this setup now, especially since we've gotten through all of the bosses that could wreck us. All right, take Paintbrush now. It's a good time to do so. And I think we open the regular Arcana pack to stay above the interest cap. If we get Temperance, great. Or Hermit for that matter. No, so I think we'll just cut. And then move on. And then yeah, the mouth is not going to be a problem. Now you can copy you. My viewers is saying he hopes I don't make an insanely stupid, critically bad decision, a blunder. Did you call it a blunder, right? During the final boss or in Anti-8 or something like that, because it was something he did a couple of times on his stream last night. You got to find the humor in it. Like I said, don't get tilted. You just got to let that stuff go. But yeah, hopefully not. All right, Shoot the Moon. I love Shoot the Moon. It's one of my favorite jokers. I think it's pretty easy to play around. 13 Molt is a lot. It works really well with one of my other favorite jokers, Mime. I think Shoot the Moon is a very underrated joker, but the issue with Shoot the Moon is that you have to play low card count hands like high card or pair or something like that, and those require a little bit more setup than something like Flush. And then you also, if you don't get the deck fixing to get lots of queens in your deck, it doesn't work out. So I can see why people avoid it a little bit, or they don't like it so much, but I think it's great, and I think it's worth trying out for sure. But we don't need it here. We're playing a 5-card hand, and we don't, do we have extra queen? Yeah, we don't have any extra queens or anything. It doesn't make sense to take it here. And then Scary Face. Scary Face is kind of like Wrathful Joker, essentially. Early to mid-game Joker. I don't think it's worth trading out. We're getting cards from blue, or chips from Blue Joker anyway, so I don't think we need it. but it's definitely a good joker and worthy of taking in the early game. You don't have a lot of face cards, not compared to like in your standard deck. You only have what, 12 face cards? We have 13 because we used that death the one time. So, you know, you have slightly one fewer face card than any of the suits. So Scary Face is not as guaranteed to work, but 30 chips is a lot, and 150 chips if you play five face cards at once. That's a lot of chips. So it can help out a lot in the early game for sure. Hieroglyph. This is a voucher that I see people snapping up, and I don't understand why you would want to go backwards. B, everyone's least favorite deck is black deck, where you start with one fewer hand. And I've seen so many times, I've watched people take Hieroglyph, they don't even think about it, they just snap it up, and then they get through the previous ante again, and then they're in the next ante, and they haven't even bought a new joker or anything. So I think Hieroglyph is something you want to take under very specific circumstances, like if you're definitely going to lose, or if you're going for like an endless run and you're looking for a specific joker to keep things going. Maybe then it makes sense. Otherwise, I would just avoid Hieroglyph entirely, unless you have a specific reason and you know what you're doing. Just don't take it. Fool is on Hangman, that's not bad. Magician, be okay. I think Hangman is better, so we'll take it here. And then, yeah, we've got to use it later. And then we're looking for a blue seal in particular. We got a purple seal. Gold seal is also good if we were on a spade. Maybe I might consider taking it, but not on a diamond. So I think we'll take the purple seal. That's okay. And thinking about that card, yeah, it's a stone card, but first of all, the seals are very powerful. So even if they're not on the best cards necessarily, or cards that you would want to play, they may be worth taking anyway. Keep in mind, you can always change ranks and suits of cards. It's not always the easiest thing to do. And then second of all, for purple seal in particular, you want to discard it anyway. So what's on the card with the purple seal honestly doesn't really matter. It is nice to have, like if that were, I don't know, a bonus card like plus 30 chips, Jack of Spades with a purple seal on it, that would be nice because then we could play it too for our hands. But that's just adding more power to an already good card. Diamond's debuffed is not going to matter. We will go ahead and cut here. Well, we have a flush actually. I'll just play it. We drew all spades. Let me try discarding these so I can get more. Now we're drawing too many spades. All right, here we go. Cut these. Erosion gets a little bit more powerful. So we're getting there. We want to be able to score 100,000 chips, which I think we can do. I mean, we can always play a third flush. Okay. A little late for red card. I don't like red card. I've kind of come around on it actually recently, I would say like within the past week or so. And I've seen some people running with red card. The downside to red card is twofold. That you do need a reasonable econ setup for it to work, but that's fine. That applies to a lot of jokers. It's not like a particular thing about red card. And you want to have a good econ setup anyway. And then second of all, skipping packs is just not fun. you want to take things out of packs. You don't want to skip packs. So I think that makes red card a not fun card overall, which is funny considering a red card is kind of like the no fun penalty, stop having too much fun card. You could say that. But the thing about red card is if you're skipping 2 packs around, it's plus 6 molt around, and that's better than most of the other scaling molters, except under specific circumstances. So it is potentially strong, so don't count red card out. You know, banner is good, but we're discarding a lot because we're trying to play flushes. But depending on what you're playing, or depending on where you are on the run, banner could be worthy of consideration, especially with red deck, since you get an extra discard, extra 30 chips. Wow! Never seen a pack like this. Okay, so obviously Brainstorm is one of the best jokers in the game. But we also have a negative Wii Joker that we could take for free. The thing is, we only have 2 2s. They are both spades, but you know, that's not really the direction that we're going. We're just not going to have time to to build Wee Joker up that much, although it does scale really, really quickly. But I think we have to take Brainstorm here. So the question is what we cut. And I think finally it's time for Wrathful Joker to go after all the hard work that it did, because Erosion is worth more at this point anyway. So yeah. Now, Brainstorm copies Blueprint, copies Erosion. You could do it that way. You can also do this. Brainstorm copies Erosion, Blueprint copies Brainstorm. This does the same thing. So Blueprint can copy Brainstorm, Brainstorm can copy Blueprint. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to set up the Joker order for Brainstorm and Blueprint. Yeah, it would have been so much fun to have a negative Wee Joker hanging out, but that wasn't a Mega Buffoon pack. So that's why you always open Buffoon packs. All right, so I think this is good. We want to cut more cards for Erosion. We're not locked into playing spades anymore. Not that it matters. I mean, we're just playing flushes now. It would have been cool to do a more exciting or different hand or something like that. So the downside here, of course, actually, yeah. So the downside is Card Sharp will trigger before these add to it. So this is slightly better. I think this is best. And then the 20 mult gets added after. So that is one of the, you know, with the Blueprint Brainstorm setup, you are a little bit limited. But still good enough to win. I don't think we're going to take either of those. We need something specific, or like a negative or something like that, or a better chip Joker. Or, I mean, Erosion's not great right now. So there are some Jokers that we could take to replace it. Take another Purple Seal. And then I think we have the money for it. We can re-roll. Tower we don't need. Seance is a very fun card. Not to blow up a spot, because Local Thunk didn't want to say that any of the Jokers were bad or that he had a least favorite Joker. But when pressed, he said that it was probably Seance. But getting spectral cards in your consumable slot where they can be copied by Perkeo and stuff like that is a very powerful effect that only a couple of cards can do, including Seance. But we're definitely not going to do that here. Okay, for now you copy Erosion. Check out what's in Emperor. Oops. But we do this. I'm going to hold on to the Sun. I'll explain why. Cool. Okay, so when you have a card in your consumable slot or a planet, and again, there's every rule is broken at some point. Unless you have Showman, that card cannot show up in the shop, and it can't show up in packs. So it's possible this was a Sun card, but because I'm already holding a Sun card, it turned into a Wheel of Fortune. So, you know, you don't have to use or sell your consumables right away. You can hold them. And Wheel of Fortune is a bad tarot card. Even the effect is not that great, except in like the very early game. But it's the most fun tarot card. So we got to do it. And it paid off. Look at that, an extra 50 chips. Okay, superposition, a way to get tarot cards. You know, if you're playing a straight with an ace, it's harder to get than any other straight because you're locked into one side of the straight draw essentially. But getting extra tarot cards is nice. Let's check out the Mega Buffoon pack. Okay, I do like Troubadour. We don't really need it though. Troubadour is better when you have held in hands effects like steal cards and stuff like that. And -1 hands per round is not great. You want to be able to pretty consistently win in one hand or something like that if you're taking Troubadour. So I like Troubadour. I think it's a good Joker, but it's just not for us right now. Abstract Joker, excellent early to mid game Joker. Would be really great. Not as good as Erosion right now, so no need to take it. And then as for Raised Fist, yeah, early game Joker, we don't need it right now. And then Satellite would only give us $1 anyway, and we're pretty set on Econ, so we don't need that. Check out the standard pack in case there's a blue seal or something. Another purple seal. It is on a spade. This does hurt Erosion, but I think it's worth it. I don't think we're getting that much from Erosion, to be honest. Reroll one time. We'll stay above the interest cap. We got a Jupiter out of it, so that's nice. Copy you. Okay. There's a world. In a world. We're pretty close to flush house. Do we have another 8 of spades? No, we don't have another 8 of spades. Do you have another 5 of spades? We have 1 5 of spades. Oh, but we have the 2 jacks. Okay, so that'll work. So for fun, I'm gonna play the flush house. How does it compare? I mean, with the more extra chips, I think it's a little bit stronger than flush right now. Let's do it. All right. We're unlikely to draw another flush house. So we'll just play the flush. An Empress? Sure. Cool. Ceremonial Dagger. Kill our jokers. No thanks. Guess Clown getting a free reroll would be fine. But I don't want to do that. We got 2 standard packs. Not the best. I think we just move on. Okay, so a lot of people love to skip for negatives. You need to think about what is the chance that I get a useful joker, because you're like, oh, it's a negative joker. There's no downside. I can just, even if it's worthless, it doesn't cost me anything. It costs you a shop. It costs you a round played. Like we could discard the purple seals. There is a cost to skipping, and the negative is probably going to be bad. So don't get tempted by the negative skip tag. It's not good. Most of them aren't. Do it under specific circumstances, or, you know, again, if you want to, if it's fun, do it. But I think the Joker is probably going to be useless. And just to illustrate, we're going to do it. Okay, I think Serpent is the easiest boss, especially with 4 discards. We can load up our hand by just discarding like this. Hermit's nice. Do we have 2 flush houses by any chance? Jack, 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 9, 9. I would like to play 2 flush houses, but I can't get negative blueprint. I already have a blueprint. Jack. Alright, so we'll just play 2 flushes. We'll be smart about it. So yeah, this is kind of how you want to play the Serpent. Maximize your hand size. You are at a disadvantage playing a 4 or 5 card hand with the Serpent, because then you'll redraw fewer cards. But with the discards, discarding 1, that is how you can see the most cards with the Serpent. And if you're playing like a 1, 2, or 2 card hand, you know, or you could just play 1 card to draw 3, it's not as good as some other circumstances, but it's a really easy boss. All right, negative the family. Yeah, we do have. Well, we have 4 jacks. We don't have a lot of extras of certain cards, but we're not playing 4 of a kind. You know, it's certainly not the most worthless Joker ever. I will take an extra discard. We're pretty set on money, so we can afford it. So we'll do that. And then we'll take the Hierophant just so it doesn't show up in the packs. What I said about not showing up in the shop, these won't show up in the packs. And we don't really want either of these. I mean, Hierophant is fine, but we can just use it when we go into the pack. And I'd rather not see it. So what's the upcoming boss? Forces one card to be selected. It's probably not going to matter because we have so many spades, and we're trying to play spade flushes. So I think the boss will be okay. It's Justice Fool. Fool for Hermit is good. Unfortunately, it's not an option. No, it is an option. We can just sell the sun. I think we do that. And then we didn't draw any spades, speaking of, so I think we can Lovers a card to give us another spade, essentially. And there we go. And another Hangman is good. Hierophant these. I don't need to do that right now. You know, it might have been more accurate to wait to do that in the round. Can reroll once or twice. Take a Chariot. One more time. I'd like to have a nice even number. Maybe not the best metric, but it's good to know when to stop. Drill Joker's not as good as Erosion right now. Alright. Can Chariot. You want. I think people have a tendency to use things like Chariot on cards that they don't want to play. And that's not bad. It depends a little bit on your setup. Like with Shoot the Moon, you don't want to play your queens. You're getting mulled from them. It's good to Chariot the queens, Blue Seal the queens, etc. In this case, we want to get rid of the non-spades. We don't want to have those cards in our deck, so it's better to Chariot cards that we will play. Fool or Hermit. Let's Hermit twice. And I am using them now. We do want Hermit to show up in the shop. It's just an extra $20, which is always good. So no major advantage to keeping the Hermit in our consumable slot. We're looking good. Burnt Joker. That's a very powerful Joker. In Anti-8, not so much. We can only use it to level up Flush twice, at best. So I don't think we're going to take it here. We do get another Jupiter on the way out. There's Sirius for Flush House. You know, I don't think we can draw Flush House consistently enough, and it doesn't win in one. If we had it to the point where it was winning in one, I would consider taking it, but not now. We don't need either of these. Walkie Talkie is more of an early game to mid-game Joker. You know, you want to consolidate around 10s and 4s, and even then it's not that good, but then you can kind of set yourself up for Full House or Flush House with 10s full of 4s and vice versa. That's kind of where you want Walkie Talkie, and we talked about superposition. So yeah, I do love Burn Joker, but I think it's just a little bit too late to take it now. Gros Michel, everyone's favorite. You know, not as good as Erosion right now. The point of Gros Michel also is it'll really help you in the early game, and then you want it to break at the right time so that the X3 Cavendish shows up. And yeah, it's too late to ensure that that's going to happen. Okay, let's move on. Go there. I think we just do this. By the way, if you move the Jokers when you've already played the hand, it'll retain the order that it was before you played the hand, which is why it was copying Erosion, even though I moved card sharp while it was scoring. So that allows you to smooth things around and set things up while the hand is scoring for the next round, or next hand. We have another Flush House. I mean, we've already unlocked it. There's not really a point in playing it. If we had a Blue Seal, maybe it would be another story. Some tension between Erosion and Blue Joker as well. You know, as Blue Joker goes down, Erosion goes up and vice versa, but they're pretty balanced right now. I'd be happy to replace either one of them, actually, but we just haven't found anything worthwhile yet. We'll take our Jupiter. Unfortunately, we didn't get a series. So in this case, I'll skip. You would say, or you might say, why not just take the extra planet? There's no downside. The downside is Fool. If we find a Fool, we want a Fool for Jupiter. If we took Mercury here, then Fool would be on Mercury, which doesn't help us at all. And taking Mercury here doesn't help us anyway. You know, we could level up 4 of a kind in Contemplation of the Family, but no, we haven't even... We're just not set up to do that. We didn't get enough death. you know, that happens. We have more cards we can world. Sure. That one was already wild, but it's fine. And then we're going up against the final boss, so that was a good thing to get for the final boss. More spades. Fool for the world. Yes. If our card selected is not a spade, we can use world to counter that, essentially. And I think we're good. I mean, we could re-roll down. I'm going to stop after the boss, so let's do a couple more. Alright. We're doing it. Of course. Of course. Okay. I think we're good, though. So now you want to copy Blue Joker. If we have a royal flush, I think I'm obligated to play it. Or straight, it's any straight flush. If I draw a straight flush, I'll play it, but... Okay, that's a good one to auto-select. We don't necessarily need you. Okay. Not draw a straight flush. Have a flush. There we go. Alright, great. So that's my Balatro guide, tips and tricks and everything. I just want to go through my notes and make sure I didn't miss anything. Talked about peeking your deck, talked about the consumable slot. Yeah, scoring order of operations, you know. We didn't really get any held in hand effects. We did have that steal card there. Just remember it goes played card score first, then held in hand effects like steal or shoot the moon, and then the jokers in order there. So yeah, I hope that was fun and interesting, and I had a lot of fun. I made some decisions just for fun, like taking the negative tag, for example, and the judgment at the end. I wouldn't have made those except to have fun. Don't do that kind of thing in real games, unless you want to do it for fun, of course. And just remember what I said at the beginning. The point of the game is to play the game that you want, have fun the way you want, and that's what the game is all about, really. So you don't have to listen to anything I said if you don't want to. But hopefully there were some instructive and helpful things here that maybe you didn't know about or didn't think about. That'll help you out. So yeah, until next time, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and maybe we'll do something like this again. I'm sure there were things I missed or didn't think about, or things that I explained wrong. I'll go back and double check that, and make sure that the guide is tight and good. But thank you very much. Goodbye.